Hello, I'm Roz Thomas, and I want to welcome you to Voice Magazine. Oh my goodness, I am so grateful. I have somebody wonderful that I know you're going to love meeting her. Her name is Rita Pollinage, and she is a missionary. And she does so many things. She wears many hats. So let's jump right into the interview. So Rita, thank you for coming so much. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, tell me, what countries did you visit when you were away?
Oh, I am still part of a biblical seminary in Philadelphia. I have not received my Master's of Divinity as yet.
Okay.
I will graduate next year. And part of the curriculum was to go on this mission trip.
Oh, that's
And
exciting.
what we did was we visited 4 countries. We visited Vietnam, Cambodia, Singapore, and I spent 1 day in Malaysia. That was actually a little pleasure.
Oh.
The trip was focused on short missions because it is very difficult to go away and stay for long periods of time on a mission unless you really have all the finances and every type of housing and all your plans well organized. So on a short mission trip, you could actually stay in a hotel, live out of your suitcase, and still do what you need to do.
Awesome. Did you always want to be a missionary?
Yeah, from a very young age, I knew somehow or the other that I would be in the mission field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you prepare for this? How did you prepare for this trip?
Well, first, because of the seminary class, we were able to, the professor, who is a wonderful, wonderful man, his name is Steve Chris, and he actually recommended a couple of books so that we, as the students, would be prepared
Okay.
psychologically and informationally. Not only did he give us recommend some books, but he also had 2 missionaries who had been on the same trip come to class and talk to us about it.
Wow, that's
So,
interesting.
yes, very.
Wow.
One of the books he recommended was Serving with Eyes Wide Open by David A. Livermore. And
Okay.
this gave me a really good insight into how to behave on a short trip and what to
Okay.
look for and what not to expect.
Okay, so you were well prepared.
I was well prepared.
Good.
He also gave us Live in Buddha, Live in Christ. And because most of Asia's population, they also worship Buddha, not Christ, he wanted us to have this book,
Okay.
to have the information on what Buddhism was all about. This was also a very important book. He also recommended Jim Forrest's The Road to Emmaus. And this book really, really, really got me thinking as to whether I needed to be a missionary and if I really had the right call on my, on. And the
That's
last
good.
book that I read was Is God to Blame? And this book was really fascinating, and they all are, but this book was really fascinating in the sense that it asked a number of questions. Some things we might see happen in life, and people would say, well, God is such a loving God, and why did he leave this
Right.
happen?
I
Why
hear
did he
that
let
a
my
lot.
5-year-old die? Why did he let my newborn baby die? And this book answers a lot of questions, like, is God to blame?
Wow, that's exciting.
That's it. So this really, really helped me. We also had to write papers on it, so that sort of got us into
Okay.
the thinking as to what we were to expect when we got there. We expected a lot less than what we saw.
Oh, all right.
Because I was very nervous, and some of my other classmates were very nervous about language. Because we are going to Vietnam, we are going to Cambodia, where they speak different languages.
Right.
And I was very nervous that how would I communicate to people, God, when I don't know their language. That was not even an issue.
Wow, that's exciting.
Very exciting.
Oh my goodness. So listen, I want you to tell us
Yeah.
a typical day in a missionary's life.
All
What was
right.
it like?
What was it like?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were up early, of course,
Okay.
and certain preparations have to be made ahead of time for you, because someone has to be there to take you on the journey that you need to go on. For example, we visited a university, and we prepared in advance a little performance. So when we meet the university students who were English-speaking students, we were able to communicate to them through song. What we did was we prepared one song in 3 different languages. We prepared this, we sang Amazing Grace in English, in Korean, and in Spanish, because we had the diversity in our group. And some of us who are not bilingual were very happy that we could just sing Amazing Grace in one language. That really, really stirred the interest of the university students who we were focused on.
Okay.
And they performed for us. They had no religion because most of them worshiped their ancestors. And I don't want to use the word worship, because when we say worship in Western society, we think of worship in terms of you go to church and you sing and you pray to the Lord and you read your Bible at home, worship. That's not what they do. What they do is they pay honor to the dead ancestors. So certain times of the year they pay honor to them. It's like having reverence for older people when they're alive. So when they are dead, you do the same thing. Some of them were Christians, but very, very few. And very few. And we met about over 250 students, and I would say from that group, probably only 15 were Christians or were exposed to the word and to Christ and to the gospel. And because the university provided us with a facility for interaction, and then they provided us with a bus for travel, we selected a couple of religious sites that we wanted to visit. So for example, we visited 2 Buddhist temples, we visited a Catholic church, we visited a Methodist church, and we actually stayed and attended service with the students.
Okay, wow. Were they responsive to you?
They were very responsive. They came along and they kept, as the book says, their eyes wide open.
Okay, wow.
And what happened was, because the mass in the Catholic Church was in Vietnamese, they accommodated us by giving us a translation in English. So we had the English subtitles right on the big screen. So they are not so developing as we think, because we have the big screen and they have the big screens. So there were lots of television monitors all along the church, all over the church, and we were able to read the big screen. So that was very helpful to us. And during the service, what the students did was they questioned us on actually what was taking place. What was the priest doing? What was this about? What was that about? And we were able from time to time to respond. It was not that we sat in church and we just, listened to the priest and we just followed everything, because we had to respond to them at the spur of the moment. We didn't want to wait until later to answer the questions. So if, for example, I had a student who was assigned to me, her name was Yang, and this young lady was 19 years old, worshipped the ancestors, never heard about God, probably was the first time she went into a Catholic church, and 90% of us, that was on the trip, were not Catholic. But what we made them understand was, as long as it's a Christian church, we preach the gospel. And that's what is interested. Not the religion, but the gospel.
Oh, great, great.
So when the priest read from the Bible and he talked about the gospel, they were interested. And the young lady that was assigned to me, Yang, and she said, call me Mai, because a couple of words connected with her name. She said, call me Mai. And when I said, well, Mai, what did you understand? What didn't you understand? She didn't understand the bread and the wine and the substantiation that is taking place true Catholic doctrine.
Right.
She didn't understand that.
Okay.
So that I left for later when we went outside of the church and when we had more time to talk.
Right.
So I said, I'll explain that to you later
That's
because
wonderful.
that's going to take a little bit longer.
So you was planting seeds all over the place.
Planting seeds. When the offering plate passed, I put in my offering, and for them it seemed a lot of money because $5 is 100,000 Vietnamese,
Wow.
and I put in 100,000 Vietnamese in the offering plate. So when she saw that, for them it was a lot. For me, it was $5.
Right.
So her eye lit up and wanted to know, why are you putting offering? So I had to explain to her that the church uses the offering for many things. And again, I had said one of the things is the priest has to live, the sanctuary had to be maintained, the lights and gas and all those things have to be kept on, the air conditioning, and some of the money that we put in takes care of that. And then the poor has to be cared for.
Sure.
And the church also reaches out to the poor and to do other things in the community where they need help. So she was quite
awesome.
awesome.
That is great. Well, out of the 4 countries,
Yes.
tell me your most impactful moment. What impacted you the most out of all 4 of the countries?
What impacted me the most? The love that we felt among the students. We just met the students for the first time. And although we were not assigned any particular student, the students came to us and we went to them in terms of connection.
Wow.
We had an instant connection with some of them. And immediately they latched on to us and we latched on to them. And when I say latched on, I mean in terms of we hugged, we cried together,
that's
we
beautiful.
kissed each other, we took lots of pictures, and we ate together, we traveled together. In Vietnam, a lot of them travel on scooters. I was actually riding on the back of one of the scooters with one of the students because we went to an island called Tiger Island, which is off Vietnam. We had to take a ferry there, but the scooters took us through we traveled on the scooters throughout the island. And I can tell you, the love we felt throughout that island, all the children came by and they said, hello, 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 how are you? Hello, hello. And all the families came as they saw us coming through their town. And they, hello, hello. And we felt that love. And we felt a sense of safety and a sense of oneness. We ate their food that was very, very unfamiliar to me. But because of the way they served us, we felt love. And what impacted me was God is love. And he showed us that was the connection we needed to make. The love connection.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw a word out there for you.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to throw the word servant. When you think of a servant, who do you think of or what do you think of?
I think of Jesus Christ immediately. He was a suffering servant.
Yes, yes.
Immediately.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, what are your short-term goals and what are your long-term goals?
My long-term goals is to travel around the world, to do mission trips.
Oh, all right.
My long-term goal is to return to Cambodia and to work with a group of people that is trying to save young girls from sexual exploitation.
Oh, yeah. That's sad.
We happened to meet with a number of youth missionaries out in Cambodia. And the major cry was the young girls were being trafficked, sexual trafficked. trafficking that was just rampant throughout the country. And that was one of immediately I thought of God, you brought me here because I think I can help.
Yes. He put that on your heart.
Yeah.
I know you can help.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
you know, I'm not thinking that I can help in the terms of bringing the word, the gospel to them. But what I have to do is live the gospel with them.
Yes.
Because you know, many times we think of preaching. We didn't preach at all.
Wow. It was your life.
Yeah,
love.
we just lived the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
We showed love, we showed our togetherness, and they asked questions.
Wow. That is
Our
awesome.
tour guide was a Muslim woman. Our tour guide was Muslim. And when I said to her my intentions was to return to Cambodia, she said, you can stay with me.
Wow. That's favor.
Immediately.
Oh my, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I said to her, say,
Ah.
my long-term goal is to return to Cambodia. She said, you can come stay with me
No,
immediately.
come on. That's God.
That's God.
He's opening the doors for you.
He's opening the door.
Because you're willing.
With a Muslim woman. Who would think that,
No.
you know,
That is
and one of the
awesome.
beauty of the professor is that he really put people in our paths that was a very diversified group.
Okay.
Because we met